Welcome back to Cadet Soccer Stadium, where it ends level at 1 between Air Force and Boise State. Both teams remain unbeaten in conference play to begin the year. Back alongside Jeff Bennett, I'm Ryan Kaufman. And Jeff, we talked about in the first half how Boise State came out the aggressor. Air Force was able to flip it. Well, in the second half, it started much the same way, and Air Force just really wasn't able to turn their tide back in their direction. Boise State really earned this 1-1 draw today.
Yeah, tale of two halves. Tale of two halves. Air Force won the first 45. Boise won the second 45. Game ends 1-1. I think that's a fair point. And, look, I think what you saw today, too, on a Sunday, 1-1, great effort by both sides, tired legs, and I've said it a lot in the past. This is why I actually enjoy no overtime, right? Because if you're Boise, think of it this way, right? You've traveled, right? You've been on the road now for 4 days. You've played on 2 away pitches. You earned that point after 90 minutes. And so I think it's a fair result. Both coaches are probably going to go back on the video, have a lot to break down, have a lot to be happy about, and you move on.
Well, let's get to our video. It could have been more than just 1-1 because both of these teams generated some fantastic opportunities here. This was the goal from Mia Otero that put Air Force up early, but there's always that running joke in soccer. Did you score too early? And Air Force had to defend for a very long time today and ultimately weren't able to hang on to it here, as that was a great chance by Boise State. I thought that Sydney Davis played very well today in goal. She's going to be disappointed she didn't get the clean sheet, but she made some big saves, as you'll see a little bit later. Jordy Ives, look at that one, nearly tucking it in the upper 90. That could have put Air Force up 2-0. And then this was where Boise State got denied on the near post by Davis. Another great save there, but the Broncos would not be denied in the 82nd minute. You and I were talking a lot about letting the ball bounce inside the 18, and that's ultimately what doomed Air Force. Sydney Connor in the 82nd minute, her first goal of the year, leveled things up, and that's the way that we would end this one. A pretty, look, as you said, you give Air Force the first half, you give Boise State the second half. It all comes out in the wash as a pretty even matchup. But I think significant for Air Force, too, because Boise State, they've played some Power 5 teams. They played some really good teams, hung in there, and Air Force today was able to give them everything they could handle.
Yeah, I spoke to the Boise State staff yesterday about those Pac-12 results, and they played 4 Pac-12 teams. They tied all 4 of them. Thought they could have had better results in 2, and thought the other were probably a right result, like today. I think when you look at all of that, what that tells me, if I'm the Air Force staff, you didn't concede a goal in the run of play. Right? That's a huge bonus against a very athletic, very attacking-minded Boise team. But you've got to be better on set pieces, right? Too many first missed opportunities on clearances. It's tough in there. Again, I mentioned the first half about toe poke finishes. Sometimes it's a toe poke clearance. It just lands at your feet. How do you get it out of your box? It's difficult. But it's one of those things where you can take a lot of positives from Air Force. They played 180 minutes of really good footy this weekend. Have 4 points to show for it, and you're confident going on the road. Because next weekend, that's a hard road trip. Probably the hardest in our conference is New Mexico and San Diego State on the road.
Well, Air Force certainly, as Jeff said, a lot to feel good about into a difficult road trip. But for now, they'll enjoy an unbeaten weekend to open Mountain West play. Boise State will say the same thing. 1-1 our final score. For our outstanding crew and my broadcast partner, Jeff Bennett, I'm Ryan Kaufman, wishing you just the best rest of your Sunday, and we'll talk to you very soon on the Mountain West Network.